Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Reed Goodfellow, and I'm on the Weave marketing team, and we're really excited to share with you 5 ways you can use bulk texting in your practice. Quick agenda for the next 30 minutes or so. We'll first kind of dive into what is bulk texting, go into those 5 different ways you can use bulk texting. Then after that, I'm going to pass it over to Matt Schultz, and he's going to actually go into Weave's new bulk texting feature. And then at the end, we'll have Q&A, but also want to encourage you to use the chat section to put in any questions you may have during our presentation. We definitely want to keep it interactive, and we'll be monitoring that chat. So as the presentation goes on, we'll try to answer those questions throughout. So let's just go ahead and get started. So with bulk texting, you've probably heard the name bulk texting. You probably even know what it is, or at least you've been on the end of a bulk text. You probably received a couple bulk texts, maybe just didn't know it, you received it. But at its definition, bulk texting, also known as SMS, bulk texting, or mass texting, refers to the practice of sending large numbers of text messages to a group of people at once. So like I said, you've probably been on the end of that. But in terms of your office or your practice, or maybe really the industries at large that you're in, there's many different names for bulk texting, right? Bulk messaging, SMS marketing, group texting, mass texting, even text campaigns. So there's many different names or I guess words or names to use for bulk texting. But for the purposes of this presentation today, we'll refer to it as bulk texting, or you may refer to it as bulk messaging. So just so we're on the same page, this is what it is. But why why should a business use bulk texting? Why does it really matter? And we're going to go into some of the use cases, but for first, why does it matter? One, it's quick and efficient. One, we'll definitely see that. Very cost effective, extremely high open rates when you compare it to traditional email marketing. Very targeted marketing. You can specific and pinpoint specific groups or customers or patients within your practice that you want to engage with. One, increase in customer engagement. We know with increased engagement leads to better practice, better satisfaction within your customer base, and it's a win-win situation, right? And then lastly, one of my favorite ways to use bulk texting and why it matters is it's a great tool for recall tactics, and we're definitely going to get into that in just a moment. Here's some statistics I wanted to share with you about bulk texting, which is very impactful. SMS marketing through text messages have an average open rate of 99% compared to just 20% for email. That is a huge number. And lastly, 90% of messages are read within the first 3 minutes of being received. I know that last statistic is very true for me. I typically always have my phone on me, maybe too much. And anytime I get a text message or my phone vibrates, it rings, and I'm most likely going to read that message, even if it's a spam message or even a bulk text or something along those lines. Definitely, I don't get any email notifications with any of the emails I receive. So it's definitely in context. I'm definitely going to probably read that message within the first 5 to 10 minutes, and you may be the same. But with bulk texting or bulk messaging, it's really important to know that it's a tool in your toolbox that you can put in your arsenal, just like any other softwares that you may already have to help run your practice. Bulk texting can just be used as a tool. With any tool, though, it can be abused in a wrong way and ultimately, create a bad customer experience. But what we're going to show you today is there's 5 ways where you can use bulk texting to, increase your customer engagement, increase your customer satisfaction, and it's going to be a tool used for your benefit. So let's dive into those 5 different ways you can use bulk texting at your practice. These are just 5 different ways. There's definitely a lot more ways you can use bulk texting, but here's 5 of probably the most common and most impactful ways. So just real quick, running through, and we're going to dive into each one of these separately. But number 1, promotion, deals, and offers, perhaps the most common. Another common way is for office news, maybe office closures, a way to send out a bulk text to your patients about a closure. Recall, very important, right? Another one, generating a customer feedback loop, maybe throughout a survey to use bulk texting. And then lastly, increase that customer engagement. I already touched on that, but definitely very important for your practice to boost and increase customer engagement. So on this first one here, like I said, it's perhaps the most common way. Looks like my screen froze. Are you seeing the next line? Oh, there it goes, just slow. This is the most common way perhaps bulk texting is used across any industry. Is this idea of promotion, deals, and offers. you have the 20% off your service, or buy one, get one. Like I said, you've probably received some of these offers from text before. But if you were to do this, here's some important details to include in those messages. One, the discount amount. Make sure that you're properly advertising what your offer is. That's kind of obvious. Number two, create some urgency around it. Put a duration on that sale to increase those customers to come back into your practice or office as soon as possible. List and restrictions. And I think the most important thing is to have this call to action. Maybe it's a hyperlink or a link to your practice's website, or better yet, maybe this is a link to an online portal for a booking link. So you send out an offer, it's in context, and right there, your patient or your customer can book an appointment directly, go to that portal, and then they can have an appointment booked within 10 minutes, and then then they're in their practice next week. So a highly effective way, again, one of the most common ways to use bulk texting. Next here, again, it's probably the second most common way: announcements, office closures. I know Weave is based in Utah. We've had a huge snow record. It feels like it's been snowing daily. So then a lot of road closures, a lot of office closures or delayed openings. So bulk texting is a great way to just send a quick text out to your customer base, notifying of an office closure or unforeseen event, or just generic office news. And we know these text messages are going to be sent and most likely read within the first 5 to 10 minutes of receiving them, better than an email marketing tool. And again, you can think of this as almost like your another tool, like I said, for email marketing. But if you have a newsletter or a monthly newsletter or quarterly newsletter you like to send out on Obviously News, this is a great tool to have, just to send out that newsletter to your customers or your patients using that bulk texting. Number three, perhaps you could say maybe it's the most important one, is patient recall. The simplest form is just recalling those overdue customers back to your office. Well, you probably, a lot of businesses we serve already have some form of recall method. Maybe it's a 6-month they're recalling patients back to the practice. It's very common. But with bulk texting, as you'll see from Matt, there's a lot more flexibility. There's ways you can think outside of the box of how it can just be a traditional recall method, and that you can really fine tune your audience, tailor that message to that specific audience group. You can capture a bigger time frame. Maybe you have patients or customers who have yet been back to the office since COVID, right? Maybe it's been 3 or 4 years they haven't been back to office. We want to re-engage those customers and bring them back into your office. So bulk texting is a great way to help those customers come back into your office. And let's go to the fourth one. This is probably my favorite method, just because I love doing surveys. My background is in customer research and programming surveys. So bulk texting can just be used as a mode of transportation of sorts to solicit feedback from your customers. This is more than just maybe your Google reviews or your Google, Facebook of those comments, right, that are public. This is real-time customer feedback about how the practice or how your business is doing, right? So there could probably be a whole webinar in itself on how to conduct surveys and the best practices around surveys and getting feedback data from your customers. But the best way to do this with bulk texting is to typically link out to a survey. There's a lot of different free survey tools out there. Perhaps the most common one you're probably familiar with it is Google Forms. You can create a simple survey, have an anonymous link or not anonymous link, and collect emails and whatnot. But link out to that survey, make it short, maybe 5 minutes or less. We don't want it to be too much of a burden on your customers to complete the survey. You can maybe offer an incentive. This could be a gift card or something. Maybe something applicable to your office would be maybe 10 or 20% off their next visit if they complete the survey. Show your appreciation throughout the text if they do complete the survey. But at the very least, if you're not using bulk texting, this should be a habit in any customer-facing business, right? A way to gather feedback from customers and have some type of feedback loop that's maybe not a Google form or a Google business review or Facebook read to know. Just a way to be more at the heartbeat and customer sentiment of what your business goes through on a daily basis. The last way we'll touch on today that you can use bulk texting for your business is, like I said, increase customer engagement. And again, we know that increased engagement leads to better business, better customer outcomes, and greater satisfaction among your customer base or patient base. It's more or less a win-win situation here, right? There's a couple different unique ways you can bulk texting than just a traditional customer engagement. Maybe it can be used as a support channel. Maybe there's a cohort of customers who typically need more support, maybe more of a white glove service, right? This would be a good way to select them, send them a tailored message asking, hey, how can we serve you? How can we treat you better the next time you come to the office? Or there's different, obviously different specific treatment types. You can filter based on that cohort. Again, kind of like a follow-up of post-treatment. Again, maybe like a survey, like I just mentioned. It's a great way to add educational information to drip out information that maybe traditionally would be in an email marketing sense, but maybe use it here for bulk texting. Again, you may have a customer loyalty program, again, creating this cohort of those loyal customers and providing them with special offers or promotions based on that customer loyalty program. So that's just another way you can use bulk texting here for your office. Now, we're going to look at some bulk texting solutions. Specifically, we're going to look at Weave's new bulk texting solution that was actually just released last week. Matt Schultz and his team has done incredible work here. It's been more than a year in the making, right, Matt, to bring this tool, bring this product to our customers. We're really happy, really proud of what we're accomplished with this tool. So I'm excited to show you the demo. And as Matt's talking, feel free to add any questions. I'll be monitoring the chat. And at the top of your screen, you'll see a request Weave demo. So if you want to learn more and you want to see more for yourself and how this can be used at your office, feel free to push that request the Weave demo button. It'll take you straight to the appropriate channels. You don't have to fill out any more information, then you'll be able to see a Weave demo. So with that, I will pass it off to Matt Schultz. I'll stop sharing my screen. I'll let Matt take over and see some Weave bulk texting.
Great, thanks, Reed. Okay, so I'll start off by answering the question that was just asked by Forever Young about kind of preset lists of people. We don't have that quite yet. We're actually working on something I'll talk about a little bit later that's going to make it even more flexible because bulk texting, and Reed, you're correct. This is over a year in the making. I started on this when I came to Weave a little over a year ago. And I'm really pumped for this to be out and available for everyone. It is the most often requested feature, and it's been fun to be along this journey. I'm in product management, so it's been a good ride. So I'm over messaging and email and reviews and fax and a bunch of things. I'm also I've got people on my team on phones. So I'm over the kind of the communications domain at Weave. So let's take a look at this. So we're in Portal, okay? Under messages, bulk messages is here. If you are on a bundled pricing plan, then you will get this automatically and you'll have a different level of messages by month. Otherwise, for a majority of our customers, this is an add-on product and you can go and look at this in the subscriptions page and you can actually just sign it by yourself. So it's pretty convenient to take a look. But for now, let's walk through what this looks like. This is the summary screen. I can see, okay, I've got April at the top. I don't have anything scheduled in the future beyond this month. But you see that I've got these dates, April 28th, 20th. These are all messages scheduled to go in the future. I can see the things that I've done in the past. I show 4, and then I can show more if I have more. And if I want to reduce that vertical scroll, then there we go. I always see how many messages I've used of my allotment. And then obviously scheduled in the past. This is a test environment from when we were building this out. Otherwise, you would never see anything scheduled that's in the past. So let's go ahead and take a look at what it looks like to create a bulk message. So when I'm here, again, I can see my April allotment because I've this, assuming that this is going to go out in the month of April. I can name it give it a title here to organize however I feel like. I can say, I want this to go out next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Okay, sounds fine. I have another option though that's fantastic, because let's say I want to send this out to 500 people and it's about a promotion. And so I'm expecting that there's a call to action that will have people come back and actually contact me. And I don't want those 500 messages to go out at the same time, because one, it could increase my chances of being blocked as spam, right? If it could show up on the radars of the network operators. But more importantly, you want to provide a white glove, really good experience for your patients or your contacts. And that means being able to quickly and timely respond to their messages or their phone calls as they're coming back in, right? As they're reading that, accepting that call to action and messaging you back. And so we have this fantastic option here to say, I want to send, let's just say send 50 messages a day. Okay. And then I can say, you know what, I don't want them to go out on the weekends because I'm not open, or maybe I'm closed on Wednesday. So I can actually do that per send. Okay. This won't apply everywhere. It's just for this batch of messaging. So extremely specific and very flexible. Now, if I want to build my recipients list, I come in, this is going to bring in all the people, and this account has just a handful from the integration that we have with your practice management software. Or if you're a CSV upload, we'll look at the contacts in the system from that. If somebody has opted out of text messaging, or we know we can't text their number, like it's a landline, they won't show up in this list. So we kind of reduce that noise for you automatically. So I can select all if I want, or I can search. I can search by name, phone, or ID, and I can quickly pull up anybody in my list. We allow you to add up to 1,000 contacts per batch. So it's kind of a hard limit, again, to try to keep you away from being spam blocked. Again, this is new territory, and we want to be careful about having your delivery of traffic put at risk. Because one of the cool things about this product and being on the Weave platform is it goes to from your same phone number. So the patient interaction is really seamless. So they're going to get appointment reminders, they're going to get manual messages from you, and they'll get these bulk messages from you on the same phone number. It's not going to be from some 5-digit short code that's random and looks like spam. It's going to be a continuous conversation with them, no matter what touch point. And so because of that, though, we don't want you to get blocked because that would jeopardize your other traffic. So good message hygiene is really important to make sure you're only sending this to people that have accepted that, given you consent for this message traffic, and that you're doing things in a way that is respectful to them. That doesn't make them say, hey, I just want this to stop. Okay. Now, if they do hit stop, we have a new feature that just released 2 weeks ago called Comp Preferences. And if they hit stop, we'll opt them out, but then they'll get a link to manage their preferences by message type. And so they'll have an option after they've opted out to go in and say, hey, I want to opt back into appointment reminders because that really matters, right? And so anyway, we've heard people like birthday wishes, they can opt out of that, but then they opted into other message types. So that's an option now, and is a part of this workflow and all of our messaging workflow. So if I go in, filters is really where the magic happens for integrated locations. So I have all the filters here that are coming in from the PMS, and there are quite a few. So I can target people that are on a specific insurance. And so if I have maybe I have a big employer that's on one insurance in my area, and I know that they're making a change, that insurance is changing up their plans. So I can go target everyone on Delta or Blue Shield and say, hey, Delta is making a change to their plans. To get the best service from us, this is the best one for you to choose, and you can be proactive about that education. I can target people based on their appointment date and appointment type. And again, these are coming in from the integration, and the status. So I could go in and look for people that came in, in the month of March for something like let's say root canal, right? I can do that. And let's make sure that it was actually completed, right? As I add things, it automatically toggles this on. If I want to clear it off, I can just clear them off that way very easily. Recipient status is really great if you have like inactive patients and you just want to clear them out, or you want to target them, say they're, is kind of a broad recall type reminder. I just want to go message the inactive patients because I want to try and reinvigorate that base. If I want to slice and dice by service provider here, by base in the doc, that's great too. We have recall date, recall type. And also this one is pretty neat. This is something that's from us. It's not from the integration, but we're actually keeping track of when each contact received one of these message types from the bulk messaging product that you're seeing here. And so essentially, if I say 180 days plus, this is saying I'm only going to include people in my filters where it's been more than 6 months since they've received this type of message. And so I can go through and say, hey, you know what? I've got a bunch of people that came in for a filling in the last 6 months of last year, or I've got a lot of people that are on Blue Shield, Blue Cross Insurance, et cetera. And I only want to target those that are maybe that I haven't gotten, that didn't get the last message, right? And that last message was, 5 months ago. And so this would help me kind of tailor that audience in a very custom way. I can put in minimum age here. Maybe I'm targeting only adults. In the case where there are multiple contacts with the same number, like parents and children, we'll only show you one contact when you're filtering, and it's going to be the older person, and that, so kind of a loose correlation with head of household there. So we've got a little compliance, make sure, hey, we're dealing with HIPAA a little bit here, so make sure that you're being wise about how we're looking at people. And I see that based on this filter, I have 14 of my 18 contacts that this will apply to. So I can go down, I can select them, add 14, and I can then add them. And now I have 14 out of the 1,000 possible contacts here. So then I can go and customize this by adding first name and practice name. Have a great day. Okay, why not? This is just a nice feel-good message. And I have my character count, where if I stay under 133, because we have to add this reply, stop, unsubscribe, then it's only going to consume one of my messages, okay? But if I add in more than 133, I can do that. I can add as many characters as I want, but about every 140 characters, we're going to up that message count. And so these 14 contacts will take 28 and then 42, et cetera, messages. But it'll always tell me how this is, kind of how this is counted, how many messages I have left, et cetera. We get a preview, and that's pretty much the product. So if I'm not ready to send it, I can save this as a draft. In fact, I don't have the option to send it because I still need to check the compliance box saying I have consent for this. But I can save this as a draft, and it'll show up here. If I show more, this is the test send that I just scheduled, or I drafted. I've got draft status. These others are scheduled status. And then if I'm in here, I can actually click on this and I can get a list of the people that are due to receive this. Once it's been delivered, I can get, again, the same list of people that was delivered to, the people it failed to, like it's a landline or whatnot. And then engagement is replies and unsubscribes. So they're kind of side by side to let me know who replied to that message before they received another message from Weave, and who actually unsubscribed before receiving another message. So it's some quick feedback to see how your campaigns are performing. So that's it. I didn't get interrupted, probably because I'm talking too much, guys. So what questions do we have?
Yeah, Matt, there's a couple questions that came in through the chat there from Mike. One, the first question is, do you enforce a stop opt-out message at the end of each bulk message? And we kind of saw a preview of that, but I'll let you elaborate on that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat here too. So yes, the stop opt-out is required for all traffic. It is something that is required by the wireless industry, and we adhere to that. Yes. And so the next question, they fill out a form and consent to reminder review request messages. They don't want this. Yes, you can actually. So part of this new preferences is that you can go in and you can, in fact, I mean, hey, no time like the present. Let me pull it up real quick. You guys probably wouldn't hurt to see this. This is a brand new feature, and we needed this in order for bulk messaging to work. So let me just get my Weave app pulled up here, and then I will show you how this actually works.
Yeah, and Matt, as you're pulling that up for the communication preferences, a new feature that we came out a couple weeks ago, there's another question in the chat, which I'll take. It says, once you make the list, can you delete one or add one? From my understanding is that you can always create a campaign, right? Generate your list, it will save it. Then if you would like to delete it, you can X out of that within the bulk texting dashboard. You can delete it. You can even duplicate that, and it will just duplicate those filters and those settings there. And you can always go into your campaign. Yeah, that's the duplicate, delete. You can always go back into your message before you send and edit that filter list or edit your contact list. But Matt, once you hit the send button, can you go back in and edit anything, particularly once you've hit the send button?
Yeah, once you hit send, as long as it's scheduled in the future, we allow you to make changes, to cancel, to make any change you want to the recipients or the content up until 15 minutes before the scheduled send. Okay. Once that first message has started to send, you can cancel it, and we'll cancel as soon as we can, but it's not guaranteed.
Right.
It could take up to 1 hour for messages to send. Again, we're trying to smooth out traffic to avoid spam blocking. But then if you have a message that's going out over like 5 days, if the first batch sends out, you're like, oh no, that was wrong, you can cancel the rest of those, no problem. You just duplicate that message and then retool the recipients or the content based on what you need to do.
Gotcha.
So real quick, since we have this pulled up here, I've got communication preferences. So I go into the Weave app, I go into messages, I go into any contact thread, and I can go to communication preferences, and it's going to open up a new tab here that is custom to that person. As we saw on the Weave app, they had opted out. And so I see it, they've opted out of everything here. But I can go in, I can actually toggle on each of these different items. And as the office, you can do this. Now, every time an update is made and saved, they will get a message saying, thanks for updating your preferences. Go here to update them further.
Yeah, and there's one more question here. It says, what if we send a message out and it comes back as an incorrect number? And Matt, you kind of touched on it already. That was on that failed metric versus engagement metric that you touched on that dashboard. So if the message is incorrect and the message fails to send, it will notify you as in, how many failed particularly that. And that, of course, the other side of that was that engagement metric, which we advertised, which was those who have engaged, right, or responded back to that message.
Yep, you nailed it. So yeah, we try to give you a little bit of that feedback, and then it's up to you to have good content that will keep people engaged and actively reading your text messages across the board. I want to come back to the question earlier from Forever Young Complete about making a separate or segmented contact list. So we don't have anything that is kind of, hey, here's a list of the same 50 people that you want to message all the time. You can easily do the filters. Right now, the approach is to quickly do filters and to use filters and with the other tools that we've given you. Now, we are working on, I'll give you a little sneak preview, and in just weeks, not months, but a matter of weeks, we'll be releasing new functionality to allow you to do CSV uploads, whether you're integrated or not. And you'll be able to get whatever pinpointed report you want out of your own software. And hey, here's my contact list, because we can't ever recreate all the filters that are in all the different PMSs out there. And so you'll be able to upload those and essentially create your own custom lists that wouldn't need the filters. And so it'll be very, very flexible here before long. Great questions. Any more? I know we're about out of time, but I love this.
There's a question. Can we upload a logo into the bulk text? That's a great question. I'll let you take that, Matt.
Yeah, text messages typically, a logo would require a picture message essentially, and picture messages come with a whole lot of other issues. So that's not supported right now. We don't even support emojis because the way the messages are rendered, it would consume a lot more of your messages, like a lot more in order to make that work. So yeah. And there's some training. So Gina, good question about training. There are several training things that have gone out. Like there's a training video, there's a training help article on Weave, and then this recording will, as Dal said earlier, will be sent out tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And Mike, we don't offer a form for this. This is we are keeping that all like on the practices. That's practices responsibility. We don't offer that right now. It's something we may consider in the future, but having Weave be the source of truth for gathering consent is really tricky because it's not a good idea based talking to the network operators. It's not a good idea to ask for consent via text. And so really the best way to do that is via email if you have it, or via hard copy form, or even verbal consent. You're supposed to get explicit written consent for marketing or promotional messages if that is in your content. So be careful about that. If you get blocked, they may ask to audit you and to understand what your practices are and that you really have the right consent for these. But a lot of our traffic from Weave is more transactional in nature. And so there's an implied consent because it's revolving around an appointment, something that's already there. And so you're pretty clean on that. But if you go into marketing and promotional, there's a higher standard. All right. Any parting questions? One thing as far as cost, if you go shop around a bit, you'll find that our solution is actually cheaper than most other texting solutions. A lot of the competition out there that will send it from a non-Weave number, right? They actually charge more. They upped their prices recently. And so you'll find that we have a much better offer in terms of we're on the same product and platform. It's the same software. It's coming from the same phone number, and we're cheaper. And my email, I'll go ahead and post my email in here if you guys have any thoughts or comments. I love feedback. I'm a product guy and I love talking to people. In fact, I think one of the offices in here was on our beta. We do betas all the time, and we did one for this product. Make sure I got this right. Matt Schultz. It's matt.schultz@getweave.com. So please hit me up if you have any other questions or feedback. Also, there's feedback.getweave.com. It's our feedback portal. And this is excellent. You can access it on this website or via the desktop application. And I see everything that goes in there. So if I monitor that, it gets me a notification every time somebody puts a new idea in there.
Great. I think that's been very good Q&A, Matt. I'm glad I'm getting some more feedback too. I know that makes you happy. And again, very lastly, if you would like to see a demo of this and like to see more information, definitely click that button at the top of the screen there to see more information, and kind of go more into depth into what Matt has showed you and how bulk texting can be used at your particular office. So with that, we'll wrap up. Thank you everyone for attending, and we hope you found some useful information and learn more about Weave's bulk texting solution. So with that, everyone have a good rest of your day.